It doesn't matter how much time and effort you put into developing your OmniFocus setup and how much time you put into making sure it's absolutely correct and up to date. A lot of that doesn't matter if you don't trust it. And how you use it in comparison to how much you trust it and how much you're able to use it because you trust it is dependent on the accuracy and the frequency with which that you put your information into OmniFocus. So what I want to do here is just kind of step you through what I do in a day and how I go about building in the habits that allow me to trust my OmniFocus setup. And for me, I always come back to doing reviews, and you're probably tired of me saying this at this point, but to me, doing a review is what allows me to trust the system and ultimately allows me to put it into practice in such a way that I don't have to worry about a lot of the other things going on in my life because I know that the right ones will show up at the right time. So let's just walk through a day. And for me, that starts with breakfast in the morning and I get myself ready. Let's say I've got all of that done. One of the first things I do whenever I come down to go to work is I will open up my phone as you see here, and I will go into Launch Center Pro. I hit my OmniFocus checklists action there, and that brings up my list of actions, and I'm going directly into my daily review. So this is what I see. And typically what I'm doing is I'm bringing that up, and then this is what I see in the morning. So I've got both devices with me whenever I do this, and I've got the checklist open on my phone, and I've got the Mac open in the background. So I'm just going to overlay these. I've got the iOS side in the dark mode just so you can get a little bit of separation there and see it on the screen a little better. But I just start walking through this. I start off clearing off all my inboxes. I've got a paper tray here in my office, and once I've got that cleared out, and typically, and part of the reason I have that at the top is simply because sometimes the action items that come off of things that are in that paper tray have me adding things to OmniFocus or adding files in other places, so I want that to go through first. So once I get that done, then I clear out drafts on my phone, which is just as simple as hitting the home screen button. And for me, I have anything that's in my inbox as a badge on drafts. And because I see nothing here, I know that that's clear. If I did see something there, I would action them off wherever they belong. Coming back into OmniFocus, I would then clear out my drafts task. I always open up Safari, and I've been through this review in a different video, but I always try to clear out all the tabs that are in any of my browsers that I have open, just because I know there's some action items that stay there. I'll clear out Dropbox, and then because I've got the Mac open in the background, this is where some of the duplicity of devices comes in. And because I'm on the Mac at the same time, I can open up my inbox. So if I go to my inbox, I see there's nothing there. And the beauty of having the two devices here is that I don't have to jump back and forth on iOS and jump back and forth on Mac as well. So it just gives me a little bit of freedom there. So I've got that cleared out. Then I'll open up my forecast. So if we go into the forecast view here, and I'm just going to select today because that's usually the one I'm most interested in, is just looking at today's. And currently I see there's nothing due there, and I don't have anything due coming up until next Thursday, as you can see by the numbers here in the grid. And the nice thing here is that I can see when things are coming up. So in this case, I can come down and go to that point and I say, oh, okay, well, I've got just taking out trash and such at those points. So that's all that is, and it's just a quick way for me to see what's coming up in the future. So I've got my forecast reviewed. I'm going to review my calendar for today, which I do right here. I'm looking at calendar events, and I see that, I've got my weekly review this morning. I finished it up early. It's why I'm recording this video at this time. And that allows me to see everything I've got going on today. And that's it. That's all I need to see is just show me what's on the landscape for today. Now, once I've got that done, I clear that one out, and then I want to review my weekly plan. And for me, that's just over here in the projects view underneath the guidance folder. And in this case, my plan for this week was to finish all of my the working with OmniFocus videos. So that's why I'm recording this. And typically what I'll do during my weekly review is set that plan for the next week. I just choose 3 things that I want to shoot for to finish in that week, and that's all I've got here. So reviewing this gives me the chance to see, okay, what do I need to make sure I'm getting done today in order to hit that goal? So I review that weekly plan. I like to go over yesterday's work, and it's just as simple as going down here to the completed. If I had been in this particular database working on things yesterday, I would see completed yesterday. In this case, I just checked a couple off today, so I took out the trash. So it's easy to see that list of the ones that I've completed, and then that creates kind of a motivation to get going today. And then the last thing I do during this weekly review is go to the context view, and I'll select the first real context. And there's going to be a lot of blanks here, but typically you would see a whole bunch. And I would just cycle down through them and just take a look at, okay, here are all the ones that I have in each of these contexts. Are there any that I need to make sure I'm getting done today, or they need to be done soon? I try to just make sure that I'm seeing what's currently active in my system, what's currently available, and see if there are any that stand out to me that I want to try to get done today or that I feel need to be done today. So once I've done that, I'm through that daily review, and that's it. That's my morning. Once I've gone through that piece, I'm going to go over to the dashboard, and then that tells me the list of things that I'm planning to get done today, and I can start working through them. And that's all that my morning consists of. I spend the rest of the day going through this list and trying to check things off. If things come up, then I will write them down. I'll collect them into the OmniFocus inbox. I just collect things as they come. But it's that review in the morning of just seeing everything that's available typically when I'm running through those contexts that allows me to start to trust the system, because I'm always seeing the things that are available. I know that on a daily basis, I'm going to see the available actions in that system. Now, I go through the whole day. Let's say I've gone through and I've cleared out the dashboard, and I've reached the end of my workday. What I'll then do is I will pull up this shutdown ritual, and you'll see the first thing on that list is complete the daily review. Now, I do that again there at the end of the day. And the reason I do that is because a lot of times during the day I have things that I collect into the inbox, and I want to make sure that I clear those out, because if I leave things standing at the end of the day, there's a good chance that I'm going to have things floating in the back of my mind before I go visit with my family and spend the evening with them. So I want to make sure I clear everything out and I'm ready to go. The only difference whenever I go through that daily review this time is that I'm thinking about what am I going to set up for tomorrow. And that typically means that when I go through my review in the morning, a lot of that stuff is already done, which is why I can get through it so quickly in the morning. And a lot of that is the harder pieces of it are going to be done at the end of the workday. So it's a duplicity of how I'm doing things and clearing things out, but it just makes sure that I've got things off my mind and that I can continue to trust what I've got on the system. So I'll complete that daily review. Once I'm done there, I do the same thing. I look at my completed work, but in this case, it would be exactly what you see here of this is my completed today list. So it's a good way to see, here's all the accomplishments I made today. Here were my successes. It just is a good way to give me a good feeling about what it is I've done that day. And then I finish off my day by cleaning up the physical workspace. So I clear off my desk, make sure it's clean. I do the same thing with the digital space. I make sure I close any programs I don't need. I delete any files or such that I don't need. Just the typical, let's shut everything down. I don't fully shut my computer off, but I get it darn close to that point. And then I will pull up, once I get to this point, I will pull up my dashboard. So in this case, I see the list of things that I've selected for tomorrow through my daily review. Now, as I'm looking at these, I'm setting myself up for tomorrow. Now, I know that as I'm looking at these are the ones that I have selected for tomorrow. The after hours pieces I'm probably going to do this afternoon whenever I'm done with work, but these are ones I'm not going to do until tomorrow. And this is where I'll come over here and I'll just hit the one day, and then I'll hit Command K to clear it up. There's my list for after work today, and then when I come back in tomorrow morning, I'll see just those ones that I just deferred till tomorrow in the morning, if you follow me there. So it's a nice way to just say, here's what my plan is for tomorrow, and then when I get here tomorrow morning, I can see it. I'll review it all again just to make sure that it's what I actually want to do in that morning, because I may have had another idea between the end of my workday and tomorrow morning. So I just want to make sure I'm on the right path. So that's all it is for setting things up for tomorrow. So I've got these two done now. And then once I've got this done, I typically will close out of everything that's on my Mac. I'll shut the computer down, not entirely. I'll just close the lid on it. And then I will go spend about 5 to 10 minutes meditating. It's just a great way for me to drive a little focus in my day. And then I'll spend the rest of my workday, if I have any time, reading a book. And that's typically for Bookworm, the podcast that I do with Mike Schmitz. But that's just a good way for me to create a transition period between my workday and my evening time with my family. Because I don't have a commute and I work from home, it's a great way to create some of that separation. Now, this whole process is extremely helpful to me because I know that going through this process every day of just doing a simple review every day, and again, I've got a weekly review that I do on a Friday. It's the same process. It's the only difference is that I do it right after I get done with the daily review in the morning. That's the only difference that I have there. But the process of doing those reviews and going through the exact same reviewing of all the available actions I have and just collecting things that come to mind, I know that things won't get lost because I'm seeing them every day, twice a day. So I know that things won't get left behind, and I know that I'll always have them in front of me because I'm going through it so often. So that's what drives my trust of OmniFocus, because I always keep everything in it and I'm always reviewing it. So that's how I end up taking advantage of my daily processes and my daily rituals to bring me to a point where I can rely on it. And that's all I would recommend for you to do is find the rituals and the routines that work for you that allow you to trust it. And if you don't trust it, what can you do to review the system on a regular basis so that you can trust it? Because to me, that's the ultimate pinnacle of the GTD process, is being able to trust an external brain where this information resides. And until you can go through the system and keep it up to date and know that it's up to date on a very regular basis, I would say even sub-daily basis, until you get to that point, you're not going to trust it, and you're always going to be trying to control some things in your brain. Now, I'm not perfect. I still have a lot of things that I still struggle to get out of my brain, and I just don't want to write down. Like, I still struggle with a lot of that, but I know that over time I've slowly developed habits that have me maintaining as little in my brain as I possibly can right now, and still start to get to a point where OmniFocus controls a lot of that. So I rely on it very heavily, and over time the use of it and the constant reviewing of it is what it has allowed me to begin to trust OmniFocus on a very consistent basis.